You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications.
What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here with my AEW Double or Nothing 2022 review. We got a lot of things to talk about on this this whole pay-per-view, and honestly, man, this pay-per-view ran way, and I mean way too long. I totally understand why they went long, because of the fact that I believe the Celtics and the Miami Heat were playing, so Tony Khan did not want to interfere with that. But again, man, this show was like freaking extremely long. Like, I don't want to compare it to like WrestleMania type long, but like this show was extremely long. We had 13 matches on this pay-per-view card. MJF actually showed up. We also had CM Punk versus Hangman Page, and CM Punk is your new All Elite Wrestling World Champion. We also got Anarchy in the arena. Sammy Guevara got booted out of the building. Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb. We got a lot of things to talk about right here on this Double or Nothing review. But before I get on with this Double or Nothing review, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the Broken Havoc podcast is also available on audio platforms. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to check out the Broken Havoc podcast in audio format, it's available on all of those platforms. All right, as I've stated earlier, this show went way too long. There was 13 matches on the card, and that is including the buy-in, which of course was Hookhausen taking on Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese. But overall, I thought this is a pretty good show in my eyes. I thought it was a pretty good show. Was it better than Revolution? To be quite honest with you, no, it was not a better show than Revolution. Revolution was like almost, in my opinion at least, a damn near perfect show. Not only that, almost every single match on the card, like, you know, definitely felt important. There were some matches on the card where you were like, why is this match on the card? For example, Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby Allin. We also had the Owen Hart Cup Finals for the men and the women, which I will talk about as well. Let's also talk about the crowd in Vegas, because, you know, for some matches, I felt like there were some aspects that the crowd would pop, but there were other aspects that the crowd was just flat out absolutely dead. And it was definitely near in the second half of the show. But like, I remember like when the show first started, when the main show first started, when we had MJF versus Wardlow, the crowd was absolutely legitimately shitting on MJF. But I'll talk about that later on. So there were really some aspects in which the crowd was quiet, but there were also some aspects of the show where the crowd was definitely on their feet. But let's talk about Double or Nothing. We're going to start with the buy-in between Hookhausen, that being Danhausen, and the cold-hearted, handsome devil Hook, taking on Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese. Overall, man, this was a pretty fun little match that they had right here on the buy-in. Of course, Hookhausen has been a thing for a couple of months now, of course, ever since Danhausen tried to curse Hook, but basically Hook no-sold it. But yeah, man, we got Hookhausen versus Smart Mark Sterling. Again, a pretty little entertaining match. I definitely loved the chemistry that both Danhausen and Hook had in the match. It was definitely, you know, really entertaining for me to watch, and I definitely enjoyed what I saw in this match. The crowd in Las Vegas is absolutely for Hook. Tony Nese and Hook start. Nese shows off his guns, so he basically flexes in the match. But Hook immediately goes for the takedown. Nese then escapes to the outside, but then Danhausen makes the tag. Danhausen then applies a side headlock. So yes, Danhausen did get some offense in this match. Nese then misses an elbow drop and a splash in the corner. Danhausen then proceeds to curse Tony Nese after that. Then, so what happens after Nese basically gets cursed is that Nese sells it, and then he no-sells it. So after he basically no-sold the curse by Danhausen, Sterling goes after Danhausen. Nese makes the tag. He works on Danhausen, and he throws Danhausen into the corner. But then Mark Sterling makes the tag. He hits a delayed vertical suplex, and then he misses an elbow drop. Then Tony Nese tags in once again. And by the way, I'm going to talk about Mark Sterling a little bit. Mark Sterling, man, I don't know about you guys, but his ring attire is way worse than the ring attire that Johnny Knoxville wore at WrestleMania. That is just me, man. He had some cringy-ass ring attire in this match. But he takes Nese tags in and he takes out Hook from the apron. Danhausen then counters a clothesline by Nese into a northern-like suplex. Hook finally makes the tag. Sterling does not tag in, and he basically backs down and goes to the outside, which pisses off Nese. Hook proceeds to work on Nese. He hits the overhead throw on Sterling on Nese, but then he proceeds to blind tag Tony Nese. He proceeds to get suplexed by Tony Nese, and then after that, he takes out Sterling. Then after that, Hook is in control. Danhausen wants to tag in. Danhausen actually tags in, and Danhausen actually makes the cover, and Hookhausen officially win the match. It was definitely really obvious that Hookhausen was going to be winning this match. I mean, if you honestly thought that the heels were going to go over in this match, I mean, what is wrong with you? I mean, I definitely did see 100% Hookhausen winning this match, and honestly, I'm loving Hookhausen. Yes, it's something different, and a lot of people do want to see Hook in a different position, but this is not a permanent situation. This is definitely Hookhausen is a temporary thing. It's not going to last forever, and before you know it, Hook is going to be in a major role. I guarantee it. Let's go to the main show. And the match that opened the show, surprisingly, was the MJF versus Wardlow match. Now, going into the show, there was a lot of worry, especially, the night before Double or Nothing. Of course, you guys all know the story. I talked about this in my predictions video. If you guys did not watch my AEW Double or Nothing predictions video, I talked about the MJF situation really before I even got on with my predictions. So if you guys haven't checked that out, the link is in the description below. But basically the whole gist of the story is that there were reports that, number one, MJF no-showed a meet and greet in Vegas. A lot of people were saying that he was at the casino. Some people do not believe it. Some people believe it. And also there was a flight booked for Newark, New Jersey, near the Newark airport. So a lot of people were saying that MJF was going to no-show the event. Apparently this whole thing was about money and the fact that more people were getting paid than him. I mean, 100% I definitely do see MJF getting a pay raise, but I feel like this is not the way to go out on this situation. I mean, I don't think you should no-show an event, considering the fact that this whole match itself is Wardlow's biggest match of his entire career, and the fact that you would do this to him is absolutely detrimental, not only to your career, but it's also detrimental to AEW, and it's also detrimental to the career of Wardlow. But thank God in heaven that MJF actually did show up at the show. But when MJF showed up at the show, man, this guy, and I mean 100%, MJF, of course, is always the type of guy to get booed. But, I mean, I'm telling you guys, man, when I'm telling you guys MJF got shit on by the crowd in Vegas, I absolutely mean that he absolutely got shit on in Vegas. I mean, this crowd were giving this guy nuclear, and I don't even want to say nuclear. I mean, this crowd was giving MJF, literally, 1 million times nuclear heat than he would normally get. And that is absolutely insane, mainly because of the fact that this crowd is definitely a smart crowd, really, for most AEW weeks, or for all their shows, for that matter. Really, the crowd is a smart crowd, and they know what the hell is going on. But, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, MJF is officially back, because apparently what happened was after the match, MJF, I believe he left the building, which I think there's still some feathers that need to be fixed right there, and there's still a major issue right there. But at least Wardlow got his moment, and that is the good thing. But we're going to be talking about the match. MJF, as I've stated earlier, actually showed up to the show. Wardlow comes out, of course, with no music. He gets uncuffed. Wardlow actually enters the ring, and MJF immediately gets out. Not only that, another thing that I want to mention is when MJF came out to the ring, he doesn't if you looked at his facial expressions, MJF really did not look like, MJF. And what I mean by that is he did not have a happy look on his face. And what I mean by a happy look, of course, in a heelish way, but MJF had this serious look on his face. A lot of people are saying this was work, but this whole situation with MJF is definitely as real can get. I mean, even hell in the media scrum, Tony Khan even stated he didn't want anybody to ask about MJF, and I totally understand his point of view, because I mean, could you imagine Tony Khan in his position literally freaking out if MJF actually did no-show the show? That would have been an absolute travesty, in my opinion. But again, Thankfully, MJF did show up at the show, and who knows where this goes. Do I think this is going to, write, MJF off television? I mean, the outcome of the match definitely did look like a writing off of MJF's character, but we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, man, CM Punk won the title. Honestly, I really do not want, MJF to leave AEW right now. Honor your contract. And no, this is not the same thing as the Sasha Banks and Naomi situation. Don't fool yourself. The Sasha Banks and Naomi situation is absolutely completely different. I'm sorry. You can call me hypocritical all you want. This whole situation is absolutely freaking different. If a situation similar happened in AEW with the women, I would have said the exact same thing as I stated about Sasha and Naomi. But this whole MJF situation is a completely different story. But again, as I've stated earlier, Wardlow comes out with no music. He enters the ring, and MJF immediately gets out. The match officially starts. MJF is on the outside. Wardlow turns around, and then MJF goes after him. Wardlow then sets him up for the Powerbomb Symphony, but MJF immediately escapes. Wardlow then goes down to the apron. Both switch from going inside and outside the ring. Wardlow then proceeds to catch MJF, but then MJF hits a sunset flip. But after he tried to do the sunset flip, MJF gets caught by Wardlow. Wardlow then picks up MJF for the multiple powerbombs, that being the Powerbomb Symphony, but MJF proceeds to bite him. MJF then pokes the eye of Wardlow. We got a side headlock applied by MJF. MJF then gets caught onto the shoulders of Wardlow. We got a roll up by MJF, but we got a near fall. Then MJF, out of nowhere, and of course in heelish fashion, sells his knee for no reason at all, so he's definitely faking his injury right there. MJF then digs under his trunks for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. But what happens is the referee immediately saw that and just took, in a slow way fashion, the referee just immediately took that Dynamite Diamond Ring, and Wardlow was standing right behind him. After that, MJF offers, so MJF at this point gets super scared, and he offers him to double his pay and a handshake. Wardlow then grabs the hand of MJF, and it looked like he was going to shake the hand of MJF, but lo and behold, of course, MJF was wrong if he absolutely thought that. Wardlow grabs the hand of MJF, but holds on to the arm of MJF, or the hand, I should say, of MJF. Then he takes MJF for the Powerbomb Symphony, and he did not hit one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven, not eight, not nine. He hit 10 freaking power bombs on MJF. If that is not an on-screen burial, I do not know what is. But he hit 10 power bombs, and we get a cover, and Wardlow gets the win. Wardlow is now officially, in kayfabe, a member of the AEW roster. Then after that, MJF gets put in a stretcher. Tony Schiavone then interviews Wardlow, who's extremely happy. He is no longer a contract to MJF, and what happens, he pulls up the Wardlow is All Elite graphic up on the screen onto the stage, and now Wardlow is an official member of the roster. Overall, what are my thoughts on this match? Again, the crowd is absolutely rampant for this match. Again, this is one of those matches that if you were watching the build for Double or Nothing, this is one of the most hyped matches, mainly because of the fact that this match was absolutely built perfectly. There was really nothing wrong with the build for this entire match, to be quite honest with you. Everything about this match was damn near perfect, and everything about the build was damn near perfect, in my opinion. Now, again, where does MJF go after this? A lot of people are saying he possibly quit. I do not know, man. There was a report saying that MJF is meeting with Tony Khan after Double or Nothing. We're gonna have to wait and see if that is true. But again, man, this is an absolutely crazy ass situation. And if MJF thinks what I think he is doing, I mean, I think it's going to be a major issue and a huge detriment to his career. So hopefully everything with MJF is resolved in the near future, because I really do not want to see MJF leave AEW right now. Honestly, if you're going to leave WWE, wait until your contract is up, which is in the beginning, I believe, of 2024. And if you want to go to WWE, go to WWE. Go ahead. There's really no problem with it. I mean, Cody went to WWE, and he's right now an absolute success, and he's most likely going to be main eventing the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view this coming weekend against Seth Rollins, which is going to be a freaking fire-ass match as well. We got the Hardys versus the Young Bucks. A match that I was also excited for, but I know for a fact that a lot of people were not excited for this match, mainly because of the fact that we have seen it already in Ring of Honor. But what are my thoughts on the Hardys versus the Young Bucks? overall, man, the Young Bucks versus the Hardys, it was not a bad match, but the match really started off, and I mean when I say started off, I 100% mean it, man. This match started really, really, really slow. I don't want to sit here and say like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever because it's the Hardys and the Young Bucks. No, this match started really, really slow. A lot of people were worried on social media that Jeff Hardy was kind of looking off in the match. I do not know if that is the case. We're gonna have to wait and see in the near future. But MJF did. Not MJF, man, bro. MJF is like constantly on my head, bro. But I mean, Jeff Hardy. I mean, really. I mean, they're a lot of people were worried about Jeff Hardy during the duration of this match. He looked really slow, and that has been the case ever since he got to AEW. When he and I know for a fact he is definitely older, and he can't do a lot of the things that he used to do. But again, Jeff Hardy looked really off, and even after the match ended, he ran off to the crowd and literally, came back, thankfully. But he went off to the crowd, which was definitely weird, of course, if you guys do not recall. Jeff Hardy actually did go out of the crowd at a WWE live event and eventually got fired for that. But overall thoughts on the Hardys versus the Young Bucks. It was a match that started off slow, but definitely picked up the steam near the end of the match. We get a couple of delete and elite exchanges by Matt Jackson and Matt Hardy. Both lock up. Matt Jackson goes for a drop kick. Both Matts then proceed to lock up. Matt Jackson goes for a drop kick. He goes for a sweep. Then Matt Hardy does the sweep as well. Both face off. We get a waist lock by Matt Hardy, and then we got a back elbow by Matt Hardy. Jeff then makes the tag. We get a double team attempt by the Hardys, but Matt Hardy escapes Matt Jackson escapes and tags Nick Jackson. Both lock up. We get a side headlock applied by Jeff, and then he goes for the shoulder tackle after that. Nick gets up, and then we get a side headlock by Nick Jackson. Nick then goes for a shoulder tackle, and he proceeds to mock Jeff Hardy. Then Jeff escapes and works on Nick. Nick then escapes to the outside, but then the Hardys mock the Bucks in retaliation, which looked absolutely freaking cool. So he mocked them in retaliation. And then after that, basically what happens is both Hardys clothesline Nick Jackson onto the outside. We got a double team by the Hardys on Matt Jackson. Matt escapes to the outside, and then the Bucks go back in the ring. And then out of nowhere, the crowd goes for Brandon Cutler chants. Yes, they were chanting Brandon Cutler, which was absolutely hilarious. Nick at this point was pissed off at Brandon. I do believe that he slapped him, so if he didn't slap him, I didn't write that in my notes, but if he didn't slap him, correct me if I'm wrong, please. But I definitely heard a slap there, so I definitely do see, Nick Jackson being pissed off at Brandon Cutler for no apparent reason. But we get a slap by Nick on Matt Hardy. Matt Jackson then makes the tag. We get a suplex by Matt Hardy. Jeff makes the tag. Both then take Nick and hit a front suplex off on the top of Matt Jackson. Matt then sends Matt Jackson to the corner. Then Jeff tries to hit a running leg lariat but lands into a kick from the apron. Then they take out Jeff onto the outside. Matt Jackson at this point is in control. He takes Jeff head first. Then after that, Jeff hits a double clothesline on the Bucks later on in the match. Brandon then takes Jeff to the outside. Then after that, we get Matt to the outside, I should say. We get repeated stomps by Jeff. We get a right elbow by Nick, but then Nick misses the Whisper of the Wind. So he basically tried to go for Jeff Hardy's move off the top, but he ultimately failed. Jeff then goes to the top, and in retaliation, he actually succeeds in hitting the Whisper of the Wind on Matt Jackson. Matt Hardy then makes the tag. He works on Nick. Then Matt takes Nick repeatedly head first, not the turnbuckle. Then the same thing as Matt and Nick. Then after that, Matt tries to hit the side effect on Nick Jackson, but then we get a cover and a near fall. He tries to hit the twist of fate, but then gets taken to the outside. We get a running kick by Nick from the apron on Matt. Jeff then flips off. He basically pulls the middle finger on Nick Jackson. Nick then flattens Jeff. He tries to go for the moonsault on the outside, but then Matt counters, but then Jeff later takes out Matt Jackson onto the outside. Later, then Nick hits a super kick on Jeff onto the outside. Nick goes to the top. He hits a senton onto the outside. We got a running knee by Nick on Matt Jackson. Then after that, Nick goes to the top. He proceeds to hit a frog splash, but then there was also a moonsault combination by Matt and Nick, I believe. Then we get a cover and a near fall. At this point, Matt Jackson is in control. Then, by accident, Nick Jackson hits Matt Jackson with the super kick. Then after that, he hits Brandon by accident as well. And then Matt hits a back body drop onto the outside. Jeff hits a crossbody, and then Matt hits the side effect onto the apron on Matt Jackson. We got a running jump into the corner by Jeff. Jeff then goes to the top, but then Matt Jackson counters into a catapult. Nick then goes for the stomp, and then Matt goes to the top. Jeff then goes for the jawbreaker on Matt, but then Jeff misses the swanton. Matt Jackson then out of nowhere hits the twist of fate. Nick Jackson hits the senton. We get a cover and an ear fall. Both Bucks, basically, missed the BTE trigger. And then after that, Jeff then escapes and then gets hit with a double super kick. And then they hit Matt with a double super kick after that. Then we get a super kick party about the Bucks. Both Hardys get up on their knees once again. We get a double super kick on Matt and then on Jeff. And then we get a cover and another near fall after that. Then the Bucks take the steps to the outside. He drives Jeff headfirst onto the steps, but then he takes Jeff to the top, but then Nick goes to the top. Jeff actually proceeds to escape. Matt then takes Nick and then hits the BT bomb, but then Jeff Hardy takes Nick to the steps. He goes to the top and he hits the swanton bomb onto the steps on Matt Jackson. So in this case, he actually succeeded because if you guys do not recall, in his match in a round match for the Owen tournament, of course, Jeff Hardy faced Darby Allin and he tried to do something similar, and eventually he actually failed in that case, but he actually succeeded in this match. He hits a swanton onto the steps. Then Matt hits the twist of fate on Nick. We get a cover and a near fall. Nick then counters the twist of fate into a backslide. We get a near fall. Matt then goes for the side effect, and then he goes for the second twist of fate. Jeff then makes the tag. He goes to the top, and he proceeds to hit the swanton bomb. We get a cover, and the Hardy Boys win the match against the Young Bucks. I definitely did see this whole outcome going. I knew this match was going to be really good, and it was a really good match. But again, Jeff looked really, really, really off in this match. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens in the near future in regards to Jeff Hardy. But again, man, he did not look good at all in this match. Excuse me if I'm a little quiet. I'm actually really freaking tired, man. This show went on mad late. I'm recording this an hour before Raw, which let me take a sip of water. My mouth is literally dry, man. It's absolutely insane. And honestly, man, although the show is good, man, this show went way too long. I literally fell asleep at 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning, and I woke up at 6 in the morning. So I got no sleep whatsoever. But we got Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay for the TBS Championship. Overall thoughts, of course, this was the first women's match. First of 3 women's matches. I'm not going to count the mixed tag team match, but the first of 3 women's matches at Double or Nothing, I should say. And, surprisingly, this was not really that bad of a match. We actually had 2 surprises on this match. Of course, we had the main surprise with Athena officially being All Elite, and also Malcolm Bivens. Yes, Malcolm Bivens, a.k.a. Stokely Hathaway, is now All Elite, and he has aligned himself with Jade Cargill, which is something that the fans have been craving for ever since Malcolm Bivens got his release from the WWE. But overall, man, it was not that bad of a match. I mean, did you guys honestly expect Anna Jay to go over in this match? I mean, in my opinion, I know for a fact the answer was no. But Anna Jay did look pretty good in this match, in my opinion. But really, the main aspects of this match were the arrivals of Stokely Hathaway and Athena. The match starts, both lock up. Jade sends Anna to the corner and runs into a boot. Anna then misses a crossbody and wants to go for the Queenslayer, but then gets caught by Jade into a fall-away slam. We get a snap suplex by Jade. Jade then goes for the clothesline and then goes to the top. She proceeds to hit the double sledge. Then Jade goes to the top, and then Anna goes to the other corner. We get repeated uppercuts by Jade. I was about to say Jay. Jade. We get a jumping back elbow by Jade, and then Jade goes to the top. Anna then comes in, but then Anna goes to the top as well. She hits a superplex. Then Jade runs into a back elbow. We get a spinning heel kick in the corner by Anna Jay. Anna then goes for a lair, but then Jade gets down on one knee. We get a heel kick by Anna Jay. She proceeds to go to the top, and she hits a flipping neck breaker after that off the top, which looked really good. Jade is on the outside, but then Anna takes Jade to the steel steps. Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet, of course, they are part of Jade Cargill's baddies section, interfere in the match. They interfere without, of course, the referee looking. Anna then hits a double DDT onto the outside. She goes in the ring and runs into a boot by Jade. We get a roll up by Anna Jay, but then we get a thrust kick by Jade. Mark Sterling then comes in and distracts the distracts everybody. Basically, he distracts the referee. My apologies. Anna then gets the crutch and hits the Russian leg sweep. Then what happens? John Silver comes in and he hits a furious ass brainbuster on Mark Sterling after that. Then after that, Jade hits the Eye of the Storm, but then we get a cover and a kick out once again. Jade then takes Anna for the Jaded, but then Anna counters into the Queenslayer attempt. Jade then takes Anna into the corner. Anna then goes to the top, but then Jade comes up as well. We get a back elbow by Anna, and then all of a sudden, Stokely Hathaway comes in. Jade then proceeds to hit the Jaded, and we get a cover, and Jade Cargill retains the TBS Championship. Overall, this was not a bad match whatsoever. I actually really got a kick of this match, in my opinion. Yes, was Anna Jay perfect? By all means, she wasn't, but she definitely 100% did give it her all, in my opinion. But overall, man, this was not that bad of a match, and it was definitely really obvious that Jade Cargill was going to be retaining the TBS Championship. So after the match, Chris Statlander comes in for the save. Of course, Chris Statlander, everybody was pissed off at the fact that Ruby Soho beat her this past Friday on Rampage, and now she is no longer part of the tournament. So then what happens? Athena, a.k.a. Ember Moon, comes in as well, and then a brawl breaks loose. Damn, man, bro, I swear, like, I am super tired. Like, I do not know why. I'm just, like, absolutely super tired, man. But this is absolutely insane. But then after that, after Athena comes in, the baddies 100% escape. I'm going to go a little quicker with this review, mainly because of the fact that, again, I'm really, really, really tired. And it's only been 26 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. But, that's good-ass water. I ain't gonna lie. That's some good-ass water. But we got House of Black versus Death Triangle, which, bro, this whole match, I'm not going to basically show my notes in the entire match, because really the majority of this match was basically high spots and absolute craziness. And I'm not going to say that this match was bad. This is absolutely freaking awesome. This match was absolutely insane. All the spots that we have seen were absolutely insane. Of course, I'm talking about those high spots. And of course, they're setting the stage for future AEW Trios Championships, which I believe Tony Khan even stated that those belts are already made. It's just, a matter of time until you introduce those Trios Championships. But overall thoughts on House of Black versus Death Triangle. Fantastic match, fantastic chemistry with everybody. I love the triple team maneuvers by each team. They're absolutely freaking awesome. Phoenix was insane, man. Like, Phoenix is one crazy motherfucker. Like, Phoenix is one of those guys. Like, a lot of people compare him to Rey Mysterio, but like, even when Rey Mysterio started to get hot back in the 90s in WCW, like, people saw that and they were like, oh my god, this kid is really different. Rey Fenix is the same thing, man. Rey Fenix is absolutely insane at what he does, man. But overall thoughts on this match. This was a really, really good match, but really the ending of this match was really what interested me, in my opinion. Of course, when Pac goes to the top, so Alex Abrahantes is basically on the apron, and I believe the situation was where basically Pac hit a low blow without the referee looking, because of the fact that Abrahantes was on the apron distracting him. And after that, the lights go out, and you're wondering, who the hell could this be? The lights go back on. It is Julia Hart. Yes, Julia Hart is now an official member of the House of Black. They've been teasing it for a lot of months, and I will admit it was dragged on a long ass period of time, to the point where really the viewer watching on television doesn't really care about this whole angle. And another thing, the House of Black really haven't been showcased a lot on AEW television, in my opinion. That's just me. But overall, man, we got, overall, this match was absolutely insane. We got Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe in the finals of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Overall thoughts on this match, again, man. I absolutely, I was really excited for Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe, but really, I don't want to say the match disappointed me, but the match was good overall. I just felt like the crowd was just flat out dead, and like during this point of the entire show, like, the crowd was just not that good whatsoever. Like, the crowd, there were some points in the match where the crowd was just absolutely popping, but there were a lot of portions throughout the entirety of this show in which the crowd was just flat out quiet, or there were also some mixed reactions. Of course, we're talking about Hangman Page versus CM Punk. But let's talk about Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe did not come out with his Ring of Honor Television Championship, of course, because this is the finals of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Adam Cole is wearing some pink wrestling attire, of course, paying tribute to Owen Hart after that. So the match starts. Both lock up. We get a bunch of Owen chants by the crowd. Both look up once again. We get a couple of right hands by Joe. We get a chop by Joe into the corner. He goes for a headbutt. We get a chop by Joe again. We get a headbutt. So we get a series of headbutts by Joe. And, Joe is absolutely insane at what he does. We get a headbutt by Joe. Then after that, we get a bunch of Joe is going to kill you chants. And then he sends Cole into the corner. He proceeds to hit the beautiful Enziguri after that. We get an uppercut by Joe. We get a couple of right hands by Joe once again as well. Cole tries to fight back. We get a couple of right elbows by Cole. He runs into a back elbow, but then Cole goes to the outside. We get a couple of chops by Joe into the outside, and then he runs into a super kick by Cole. Cole then sends Joe to the ring post, but then he does it again. He goes back in the ring, and then Cole is in control working on Joe. Joe then fights back with an overhand chop and repeated rights. Cole then fights back and is in control once again. Cole then flattens Joe using his arm, but then Joe counters the Panama Sunrise, but gets taken down onto the knees of Adam Cole after that. Then after that, Cole hits an Enziguri onto the outside. Then he goes for he lands. So he basically takes Joe into the corner and then lands into a Uranagi by Joe after that. Then after that, we get a couple of right hands followed by an atomic drop. Then after that, there is a boot. He hits a boot and a senton. We get a cover and a near fall. Cole then fights back and runs into a power slam. At this point, Joe is selling his shoulder. And after he's selling his shoulder, he wants to go for the powerbomb, but Cole escapes. Cole then gets the Enziguri into the corner on Joe. Then Cole runs and lands into a lariat on Joe after that. Then Joe takes Cole to the top. Cole fights back, but then Cole escapes. He hits a high knee on Samoa Joe. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a couple of right hands by Cole. We get a kick by Cole, and then we get a backstabber by Cole after that. We get a cover and a near fall. He tries to apply the crossface, but then after that, Joe gets his foot on the rope. Joe then power bombs the super kick into multiple different power bombs. Then after that, he gets a cover and a near fall. Joe then applies the STF after that as well. Bobby Fish actually gets involved. My apologies, man. Bro, I swear, man, I am getting super, super, super tired. Like, this is absolutely insane, man. But Bobby Lashley is getting involved. Not Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley. Really? Bobby Fish is getting involved. Then we get a kick by Cole. He takes off his knee pad, that being Cole, and then he misses the boom. Joe then tries to apply the sleeper hold, but then Joe takes out Bobby Fish. We get a chop by Cole, then we get a kick by Cole, and after that, we get a super kick by Cole. At this point, Joe no-sells with screams. Cole then proceeds to hit the boom, and we get a cover, and Adam Cole actually beats Samoa Joe, of course, using the help of Bobby Fish of the Undisputed Elite, which was definitely really weird to me, considering the fact that, I feel like Samoa Joe is currently feuding with Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, and what the hell is his name? I completely forgot. But, Jay Lethal. My apologies, man. Like, literally, my memory is, so off. But overall, man, this is not a bad match whatsoever. I enjoyed the match for what it was. It was a great match. Again, the crowd really couldn't give... I felt like the crowd was pretty much dead after this point. But really, overall, it wasn't a bad match. One match that I really wasn't that big of a fan of, and that was the Ruby Soho versus Britt Baker match. The Ruby Soho versus Britt Baker match, a lot of people, again, as I've stated earlier in this review, were not happy at the fact that Ruby Soho actually took the spot from Chris Statlander, because Chris Statlander was really popular among the AEW fan base. But overall, man, this match really was pretty slow in my eyes. It was definitely really slow, and the crowd just couldn't give a single two shits about this entire match. Let's be 100% real here. But overall, the matches were really slow, and I was just not really as invested as I should have been for this particular match. And also, Britt Baker won this match, of course, so you definitely did see that being the case after Adam Cole won, considering the fact that who is Adam Cole dating in real life? Adam Cole is dating Britt Baker in real life, okay? But, so basically, Rich Ward, the guitarist from Fozzy, plays, Britt Baker's entrance, and then Rancid, the band that sings Ruby Soho's theme is actually, they were actually on the show, and they played Ruby Soho on the AEW show, which was freaking awesome, by the way. All right, so the match starts. Both lock up. We get a wrist lock by Britt, then a wrist lock by Ruby. We get a couple of right elbows by Britt into the corner. We get a knee by Britt Baker, and then we get a cover and a near fall. Ruby then gets sent to the corner, but then Britt gets sends Ruby to the corner. Ruby goes for an arm drag, and then she grabs the boot of Britt, and then takes out Britt. Britt then goes to the outside, but then Ruby hits a shotgun dropkick. At this point, both fight it out. After that, onto the outside. Ruby then hits a suplex onto the outside. Both are in the ring. Then after that, Ruby goes to the top, but then Britt tries to take her down, landing Ruby ribs first. We get repeated stomps by Britt, but at this point, Britt Baker is in control. But then she drags Ruby ring for, rib first to the post. Then after that, Ruby fights back with a couple of chops after that. Then what happens after that is the crowd is basically split. So again, one of the things that really made this match a little weird to me is the fact that, there were some portions of the match in which the crowd reacted, and there were some portions of the match that the match was just flat out, boring to them, in my opinion. And, we definitely did get a mixed reaction from both of them. We got Let's Go Ruby, Let's Go Britt chants, which was definitely weird to me. We got a roll up by Ruby and a near fall. Then Britt hits an elbow, but then Britt goes to the top. Ruby then comes in and she proceeds to hit a suplex. Both exchange shots. Britt then goes for the right hand, but then Ruby wants to go for the no future after that. Britt then wants to go for the thrust kick, and then we get a roll up and a near fall. We get a couple of thrust kicks by Britt. We get a kick by Britt, and then we get a couple of kicks by Ruby. Then Ruby hits a Saito suplex after that. She goes to the top, and then he proceeds to hit a senton. Then after that, we get Britt, counters the front suplex, and then she hits a stomp on Ruby. We get a cover into near fall. Britt then proceeds to get the glove. She tries to apply the lockjaw, but then Ruby tries to escape. Then Britt tries to apply it again, but then we get a roll-up by Ruby and a near fall. She hits the no future, and then Ruby tags in and drags back Britt. Brick then goes to the bottom rope, and then Ruby misses a clothesline into the corner. We get a boot by Ruby. Ruby goes to the top, and then she hits the shoulders of Britt Baker. She's up on the shoulders of Britt. She rolls up Ruby, and we get a near fall. We get a roll up by Britt Baker, and Britt Baker wins the match. Overall thoughts on this match? Good match, but again, it didn't really feel that important in my opinion. I mean, all they won was a trophy. Granted, the trophy is really nice. The belts are really nice. Of course, those belts are an homage of the old Stampede Wrestling belts that Stu Hart had when he was running Stampede Wrestling. So that's a nice little tribute right there. But overall, man, this was not a bad match whatsoever. Again, I love the chemistry between both Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish as well. And also, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Again, this is a pure example of me going to sleep, guys. I'm sorry, man. I am super, super, super tired, man. Like, it's not even funny, man. Like, when I'm reading my notes, trying to tell you guys what happened in the match, I literally, changed my, reading, and it's I'm not reading it. I'm, reading something else. It is so weird. But, overall, what we got after that is Britt Baker and Adam Cole are on the stage. Martha Hart then comes out, and then we get a couple of thank you, Martha chants, and then she proceeds to do her speech, and she gives both of the belts to Adam Cole and Britt Baker, and also reveal the trophy, which looked absolutely sick. All right. After that, we got the Men of the Year. Talk about one match that I absolutely did not really care about. The Men of the Year, and Paige Van Zant making her AEW in-ring debut, takes on Sammy Guevara, Kazarian, and Ty Conti. This match was announced this past Friday on the live edition of Rampage on TNT, in which basically what happened was Sammy and Kazarian and Ty Conti basically came in and crashed the American Top Team facility and, basically destroyed everything and got their belts, which was definitely hilarious to see. But again, man, this whole feud between Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky is absolutely pure garbage, in my opinion. It just absolutely sucks. What are my thoughts on Paige Van Zant? Paige Van Zant looked fine in the ring. I even tweeted, she looked impressive in the ring, but I'm going to give it time. She did look a little impressive in my eyes, but she really didn't do much in the match, in my view. She really didn't do a lot. in the match. My apologies, guys. I'm literally trying to keep myself awake, man, because I really want to give you guys this review, because we also got Monday Night Raw happening, and I don't want to do 2 reviews, uploading them all at once tomorrow. So the match starts. Paige tags in. We get a couple of right hands by Paige. We get a back elbow by Paige. We get repeated rights after that. Takes Sammy up for the Eagle's Edge, but then Sammy escapes. He hits a corkscrew drop kick after that. He takes Sammy up and hits a power slam. We get a cover and a near fall. Sky then makes the tag. We get a couple of arm drags by Sky and Kazarian. Then we get a drop kick by Sky, and then we get a slam by Kazarian. Then we get a springboard leg drop by Kaz, and then Sammy makes the tag. At this point, Sky is the legal man. He goes for a couple of body shots on Sammy to the corner. We get a boot by Sky, but then Ty Conti hits the right hand on Sky. Then Sammy, Sammy just goes, basically, flirts with not flirts. Basically what happens is Sammy takes out Sky. Sammy flirts. I was thinking about Ty Conti for no reason. Goes to the apron. We get a springboard cutter by Sky. He proceeds to flip off Paige Van Zant. Ty then hits a suplex on Sky without the referee looking. Kazarian tags in. He hits a right hand and chops Sky. Kaz then goes for the Russian leg sweep. We get a chop by Kaz. Then Sky goes for the flatliner after Paige interfered. Then after that, Ty runs across the ring and hits a right on Paige Van Zant. Sammy and Ty Conti on the outside. Then Kazarian wants to make the tag, but then he wants to apply the crossface chicken wing with Sammy Guevara. Sammy tags in, and Kaz then basically what happens is Sammy tags in, and Kaz and Sammy argue. So, at this point, they make the hot tag with the women. Paige then takes down Ty Conti. We get a couple of clotheslines and a waistlock by Paige Van Zant. Both hit a back suplex. We get a cartwheel attempt, back elbow by Paige. Then he proceeds to pick up Paige, I should say. And then Paige goes for a right hand on Sammy. And then he hits a swinging DDT, but then Paige tries to trip Ty onto the balls of Sammy. Then she proceeds to hit the Michinoku driver on Ty Conti. Then we get a series of pump kicks by, Ty Conti. We get a cover by Ty and a near fall. Ty then goes for the facebuster, but then both Sammy and Ty make it out. Then at this point, the men of the year surround Sammy and Ty Conti. At this point, Kazarian leaves. We get a shoulder tackle by Paige. Then we get a cutter by Sky. Kaz then goes for the DDT, and then he makes the tag. He proceeds to hit the cutter. Then after that, we get a cover and a near fall, but then Paige gets taken to the outside. Then Kazarian argues with Ty Conti. Sammy then accidentally super kicks Ty Conti with the roundhouse kick and the TKO and cover, and the men of the year get the win, and Paige Van Zant as well. Overall, this was a fine little match that happened. Honestly, one of my biggest gripes with this whole thing is just the feud itself. I think the feud itself between Sammy and Scorpio Sky, it has been done to the death. I really am tired of this whole feud. Abolish it. Do something else to AEW, because this whole thing with Sammy Guevara and Ethan Page or the Men of the Year is just absolutely boring in my eyes. We got one match that really did not need to be on the main show, and that is, of course, Darby Allin versus Kyle O'Reilly. This was a really fantastic match. I don't care what anybody says. This was an absolute barn burner of a match. But again, one of the biggest problems with this whole pay-per-view was the fact that the entire crowd was, not the entire crowd, because you definitely heard some pops throughout the show in some sort of matches, but there would be some matches on the card in which the crowd would just be flat out dead, and then they would just instantly pop for something random. It was that weird of a crowd in my eyes. I mean, the Vegas crowd is a really weird crowd. Trying to stay awake, guys. I'm literally trying to stay awake, and I'm definitely getting a little bit awake more, but still, I'm definitely feeling that tiredness. But overall thoughts on the match. Again, the match was really good. Darby grabs the knee of Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle then goes with a kick to the face of Darby Allin. We get a couple of elbow strikes by Kyle. He applies the cross arm breaker. We get a couple of stomps by Kyle. We get now Kyle then goes for the knees. Kyle then goes for the back sweep. Kyle then works on the arm of Darby, and then he hits a snap suplex. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a couple of kicks by Kyle. Darby then fights back, and then he goes for a running knee by Kyle. Darby then runs with a drop kick. And then Darby out of nowhere hits the code red after that. We get a cover into a near fall. We get a chop block by Darby. He applies hanging a front face lock. Then Darby goes for the Scorpion Death Drop, but then Darby wants to go for the Coffin Splash, but then Kyle O'Reilly counters. We got a rolling elbow by Kyle, and then Darby goes for a stunner. Then Kyle goes to the outside, but then Darby botches. Yes, that's the key word right there. Darby actually botched a suicide dive in which he basically, tripped. I believe it was on the bottom rope and landed on his head or somewhere, on the floor onto the outside, which looked absolutely devastating. Kyle O'Reilly, after that, he takes Kyle back in the ring, but then Kyle instantly goes back to the outside. Darby hits a suicide dive, but then gets caught by Kyle into a front face lock after that. Kyle goes to the top, and then Darby also comes in. We get a roll up by Kyle, and then we get a roll up by Darby, and then we get a near fall. We get a couple of kicks by Kyle, and then Darby goes for the inside cradle, and then we get a near fall. Kyle then hits the brain buster, and then we get a cover and another near fall. He applies the cross arm breaker, and then he transitions it into the ankle lock. Then Darby reverses it and applies somewhat of a sharpshooter. It looked like, he was applying the Scorpion Deathlock or the sharpshooter, whatever. It's the same thing. Kyle then goes to the bottom rope, but at this point, Kyle is on the apron. He gets caught by Darby with a dragon screw. Darby goes to the top, and then he hits a coffin drop on Kyle onto the apron, taking both of them to the outside. Darby then gets Kyle into the ring. He wants to hit the coffin drop, but then gets caught into a cross arm breaker, which looked absolutely freaking brutal. Then we get a roll up by Darby and a near fall. Both exchange elbows, and then we get a couple of kicks by Kyle. Darby goes for a couple of slaps. Then we get a Fury slap by Kyle, so there's a lot of slap exchanges after that. Kyle O'Reilly applies a chin lock. We get a running kick by Kyle. We get a cover and an immediate 1 count. Then after that, we get a kick once again, and then we get a cover and an ear fall. After that, we get a third kick after that. He goes to the top, and he goes for the diving knees, and we get a cover, and Kyle O'Reilly wins the match. So overall thoughts on this match, man. I absolutely loved the finish. Now, I definitely did understand why people were pretty upset in which Kyle O'Reilly beat Darby Allin clean in the dead center of the ring. Yes, I do agree with that. I felt like Darby should have won this match in my eyes. But overall, the way that he lost definitely made him look strong, considering the fact that, Kyle O'Reilly goes for like 3 simple kicks and Darby still gets up. Really, that's the story right there. We got Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb for the AEW Women's World Championship. This was by far the best women's match of the entire night in my eyes. I definitely see that being the case, in my opinion, mainly because of the fact that, Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb is one of those matches in which, the build was not really good whatsoever. I'll be the first one to admit it. The build, and not only that, Thunder Rosa's title reign has been off to a pretty rough start. So if you guys think that Sasha Banks going to AEW can be a good thing, you got to double think. Now, it'd be awesome if she was there. She would definitely enhance the women's division. But AEW does have some issues with the women's division, even to this day. But overall thoughts on Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb. This is a great, great, great match. Again, the crowd really could give less of a shit about what is going on in my eyes. That is just me. That's what I saw on BR Live. And by the way, speaking of Bleacher Report, Bleacher Report is such a bad service. Like, literally, you paid $50 and it's not letting you get in the pay-per-view. It happens on a constant basis. And if, I'm not the only one that this happens to. Like, just go look at Twitter. Everybody be tweeting about Bleacher Report. Like, that is absolutely insane. But really, when the match starts, there was a lot of technical wrestling by both competitors. We get a couple of head scissors by Thunder Rosa. Both then go for a big tug of war with the knuckle lock. Then Deeb's shoulders are down, but then we get multiple near falls. We get a roll-up by Deeb, and we get a near fall. Then a Rosa applies the submission. We get a roll-up by Rosa and a near fall. Rosa then goes for the shoulder tackle, and then we get an arm drag by Rosa. Then she goes for the second arm drag, and then we get a roll-up by Rosa again. A roll-up by Rosa and a near fall. We get a slap by Rosa after that. But Rosa lands into the corner, but Rosa fires back and takes she basically takes Deeb to the outside. Rosa then wants to go for the baseball slide, but then Deeb escapes. She grabs the hair of Thunder Rosa and sends Rosa to the corner on the apron. Then she proceeds to hit the neck breaker on Thunder Rosa. Deeb then goes for the swinging neck breaker after that. We get an uppercut by Serena Deeb. Then she takes Rosa to the top, and then we get a shot to the back of Thunder Rosa as well. Oh my god, it's already 49 minutes. Holy shit. Deeb then applies the backslide like submission on Rosa on the top rope, but then she proceeds to apply the abdominal stretch. Again, Serena Deeb is the woman of 1,000 holds. Rosa then proceeds to fight Pac. Rosa then goes for a hip toss, then an uppercut. Both proceed to exchange shots. Rosa hits multiple clotheslines, and then she hits a slam. Then she hammer throws Deeb headfirst onto the turnbuckle. We got a running clothesline into the corner. We got a couple of double knees by Rosa. She hits the running dropkick on Deeb. We get a northern-like suplex by Thunder Rosa, and we get a near fall. She picks up Deeb, but then both exchange wristlock switches. Deeb then applies the octopus hold, and then we get a roll-up by Deeb, but then Rosa runs into a back elbow. Deeb then drops Rosa to the mat. She tries to apply the deep tox, but then Rosa applies the Russian leg sweep. Then we get a roll-up by Deeb, and we get another roll-up once again, but they're all near falls. Rosa then smashes the knee of Serena Deeb. We got a double clothesline on by both, actually. So we actually got a double clothesline. Deeb then runs into a boot, but then Rosa goes for the double stomp onto the back of Serena Deeb. Rosa then goes for the Death Valley driver after that. Deeb then goes for the chop block and then actually applies the all-famous figure 4 leg lock. Then Deeb goes for a slap. Rosa then slaps back. Both exchange furious slaps after that. Both roll to the outside. Deeb goes for the dragon screw, and then she hits the deep tox after that. We get a cover by Deeb and a near fall when Rosa gets her foot onto the bottom rope. She then, that being Serena Deeb, applies the Serenity Lock, and then she hits power bombs. Then applies the Texas Cloverleaf, but then Rosa goes for the back body drop. We get a roll-up again and a near fall. We get a kick by Rosa, but then Rosa runs into the corner when Deeb escapes. Both go to the top and hits a superplex on Serena Deeb. And then she hits the Fire Thunder Driver. We get a cover, and Thunder Rosa retains the AEW Women's Championship. Overall thoughts on this match? This match was really good. I absolutely enjoyed what I watched in this match. But again, the crowd really did not do it for me. I just do not know why. There was something about the crowd that just, to me, the crowd felt dead to me. In some aspects of the show, not every single aspect. Like, there were some aspects in which the crowd was absolutely going crazy. But there were some matches in which the crowd was just flat out dead. Like, for example, Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby Allin. Like, if you watch an AEW show, you definitely expect, to be a hot crowd. And really, I don't want to say this wasn't a hot crowd because it was, but at the same time, I just felt like it wasn't because some particular matches, like, I always care about the atmosphere. And really, you heard crickets sometimes when you were watching these matches. We got the Anarchy in the Arena, the Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Blackpool Combat Club, and Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston. What can I say about this match? Let me take a sip of water to wake myself up even more, and also let me take a sip of water to actually appreciate how good this damn match was. This match was freaking amazing. This match was absolutely amazing, man. I absolutely loved this match for what it was, man. I loved it. Everything about it was just flat out insane. Of course, everybody is talking about that memorable shot. Yes, I'm calling it memorable. I don't give a shit what anybody says. That memorable shot of Eddie Kingston literally coming in with gasoline, walking down the ramp after he was stuck in an elevator with Daniel Garcia beating him to shits. He looked like a freaking murderer out there. But what are my thoughts on the Anarchy in the Arena match? I absolutely loved every single bit of this whole thing. And the reason why I say that is because, like, it's basically now, it's Stadium Stampede, but it's in the arena. And that's what I love about it. But it's more intense. Stadium Stampede for the past 2 years was more of a, how do I say it, man? Because I absolutely loved Stadium Stampede. Don't get me wrong, but the only reason why Stadium Stampede was a thing is because of the fact of the pandemic. But the thing about Anarchy in the Arena is, like, Anarchy in the Arena is more realistic. How do I say it? Stadium Stampede is more of a theater-esque type match in my view. But there's still really good moments in Stadium Stampede. But overall, man, the Anarchy in the Arena match was absolute freaking fire. Throughout the majority in the beginning of the match, you still had Wild Thing playing. Yes, the Wild Thing was still playing while, while they were all brawling. So it gave you basically New Jack vibes because New Jack is known every time when, he goes in the ring with the freaking, the shopping cart of all things weapons. You still have this theme song, like, playing during the entire match. And that was one of the things that was very memorable about New Jack. But overall, I absolutely loved what I saw here. I'm going to, go through my notes here on what I saw. Keep in mind, there are many different things that happened all at once, so I may have missed a couple of things. But of course, as always, a brawl breaks loose. Kingston goes after, I believe, Daniel Garcia. I completely forgot. Wild Thing, of course, is still playing. Moxley has a fork and works on Matt Menard and basically stabs him into the forehead with the fork, causing him to be busted open. Jericho then uses the sunglasses on Moxley. Matt Menard is busted open. Santana and Ortiz double suplex Jake Hager into the ring. We get a cover and a near fall. Jericho then smashes the soundboard, basically canceling the music, which is hilarious. Moxley's goes for the double sledge. Danielson works on Jeff Parker, a.k.a. Angelo Parker. Ortiz has Hager up on his shoulders. Santana takes Hager through the tables. Kingston is fighting through in the concession stands, where you buy your food and all your merch, the merch stands as well. Both Matt Menard and Kingston fight it out. The steel steps are on the outside of the ring. Garcia then pile drives Ortiz onto the steel steps. Then, meanwhile, Angelo Parker goes face to face, face first, to the camera by Danielson. Moxley then drives the knee onto the back of Jericho. Moxley then takes a slew of chairs. And Angelo Parker hits Brian with the ring bell. After that, Garcia goes to the stands and goes after Kingston. Max then, after that, throws a cooler on Chris Jericho, which looked absolutely brutal. Garcia and Kingston fight it out. Then Garcia wraps the belt around the neck, of Eddie Kingston. Then Jericho applies the Lion Tamer on Moxley on the Timekeeper's area, but the table breaks. So then after that, Garcia sends Kingston to the wall. Moxley's in the ring. He hits a suicide dive on Jericho, and he applies the figure four. Danielson then enters the fray and works on Jake Hager in the ring. Then we get a couple of yes kicks on Jake Hager. At this point, Moxley is unscrewing the turnbuckle, and then Hager counters a suplex attempt and then suplexes Danielson onto the ramp. At this point, Kingston is busted open. The ropes were taken down and unhooked. Then Moxley drives the turnbuckle hook on Jericho into the midsection. Kingston and Garcia are on the elevator, and they're basically fighting it out in the elevator, which looked absolutely hilarious. Moxley hits Jericho with the turnbuckle hook. Santana is working on Angelo Parker. After that, Jericho, hits Mox with the chair, I should say. We get a body shot by Mox. Santana and Ortiz grab a ladder. Moxley then takes out a barbed wire board. Yes, he took out a barbed wire board. Then after that, Hager applies the ankle lock on Danielson. Santana and Ortiz are on top of the ladder. Both hit a frog splash on 2.0. Jericho then turns on the fire extinguisher and basically blasts it on John Moxley on the outside. Jericho, Moxley, and Hager and Danielson are all in the ring. Everybody goes for repeated rights. Both exchange shots. Danielson and Moxley take Danielson and Moxley take Jericho and Hager and hit elbows all at the same time. Then Danielson and Moxley apply submissions. Danielson then comes out with gasoline. So yes, he comes out with gasoline. And as I've stated earlier, this guy looked like a freaking maniac doing it. And what happens is he has this crazy ass disdain of Chris Jericho that he really wants to burn him alive. And this caused tension within the babyface group, primarily with two people. It caused heat between both Eddie Kingston and also caused heat between Bryan Danielson. And this was awesome ass storytelling. So he dumps the gasoline all over Chris Jericho. And what happens is Bryan sees it and he basically tells Eddie Kingston not to do that. But then out of nowhere, Danielson and Kingston all of a sudden brawl, but they're on the same team. So, I definitely do see a future programming happening in the near future between these two. Jericho then hits a chair. Then Hager pushed Moxley onto the barbed wire. Jericho then hits the Judas effect, and he grabs the hook and hits it on Danielson. We get a cover into near fall. Hager then holds Danielson. Jericho goes for a couple of rights. Bryan fights back. He works on Hager, and then Bryan out of nowhere hits the Busaiku knee, and then he hits it on Jericho with the chair. We get a cover into near fall. We get a couple of yes kicks by Danielson on Jericho, and then Danielson kicks his head in, but then Hager has the boot on one knee of Danielson. Jericho then applies the walls, and then Hager chokes Bryan with the rope. At this point, Danielson passes out, and the Jericho Appreciation Society win the Anarchy in the Arena match. Overall thoughts on this match. This was a crazy, crazy, crazy Insane ass match, man. I don't care what anybody says, man. This was by far one of my favorite matches of the entire pay-per-view. And that is saying something, man. Like, this is 10 times better than Stadium Stampede. I don't give a shit what anybody says, man. This match definitely freaking delivered on all damn stops. And I absolutely loved what I saw. I absolutely did love what I saw. I loved the dissension, not in the entire group, but really, the not liking of one another between both Bryan and Eddie Kingston. I think there's going to be a future program in the near future, but where is this all leading to since the Jericho Appreciation Society won this match? Definitely 100%. I do see blood and guts happening in the near future, mainly because that match would be booked only for the babyfaces to get their win back. Definitely, I see that being the case, and honestly, I'm really excited for it. I mean, a lot of people were saying that they should have put a blood and guts match on the pay-per-view card. I understand that point of view, but AEW usually does blood and guts on their Dynamite shows. The men of the year are backstage, and they basically celebrate their win over Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, and Kazarian. Of course, Sammy Guevara can no longer, since he lost, he can no longer challenge for the TNT Championship again. So he's basically offering everybody the challenge at the Forum. And what happens, Dante Martin comes in and he basically accepts the challenge. And same as Scorpio Sky, and we're going to be getting most likely Dante Martin versus the Kazarian this Wednesday on Dynamite, which I'm absolutely really excited for. That's going to be a fire ass match. Jurassic Express versus Team Taz, Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbs versus Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. We're on the 12th match of this entire card, and it's been an hour and a minute. Like, literally, I've been here for almost a whole hour, and again, I got to take a sip as well. There's literally almost nothing more left on this freaking mug, but, like, I'm still going to, like, drink water, man, because, like, I'm literally, I remember, like, in the middle of the entire review, I was literally contemplating on actually like just instantly just stop recording, mainly because of the fact that I was like this close to giving up. But I didn't want to do double the work for tomorrow because I have to do the Raw review as well. And Raw is almost done actually in 10 minutes. So I got to hurry my ass up. But let me drink this. Let me finish this sip of water. Oh my God, I feel so much better, man. Like, holy crap, man. Again, man, I when the show ended, the show ended around like 1. And I was watching a bunch of live streams of what their thoughts on Double or Nothing was. And, I stayed up until like maybe like 2 or 3 in the morning. And then I woke up at like 6:40 around there. Like I barely had any sleep and I was working all day, man. Like, holy crap, man. But, yeah, man, I'm trying to give you guys this review. I mean, the prediction video did really well in views, surprisingly, which is really weird to me because I uploaded that video like hours a couple of hours before the show even started, but it is what it is. That was great to see. So hopefully this review can get a lot of views as well, man. We're gaining that audience. And I'm definitely really excited for that. Real quick, let me talk about Jurassic Express versus Team Taz and Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. Overall, man, this was a really good match. I absolutely loved the match for what it was. Great tag team match overall. Again, AEW by far has the best tag team wrestling in the entire world in my eyes. WWE is getting there with RK Bro and the Usos, but really those are the only 2 teams that are really important. Nobody else is important in that tag team division in WWE. But overall, great match. I absolutely loved it for what it was. The spots were insane. The chemistry with all the wrestlers were fantastic. I absolutely loved Swerve and Keith Lee. Ricky Starks, again, has like... And I'm not going to go through the match mainly because of the fact that, again, there's literally like less than 10 minutes before Raw even starts. But overall thoughts on the match, I absolutely loved the match for what it was. It was a great match overall. Ricky Starks looked fantastic. I can instantly remember that one spot where I believe he was like, grabbing the wrist of Jungle Boy. And he was walking onto the top rope, and he walked onto the top rope, but then got dropped and landed on his balls, which looked absolutely hilarious. But again, man, Ricky Starks is a freaking star. But the outcome, as I've stated in my predictions video, I did state that I actually expected for Jurassic Express to actually lose the AEW World Tag Team Championships and actually have Swerve in Our Glory actually win the match, that being Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, but that wasn't the case. And I definitely did see a heel turn coming, but we did not get a heel turn tonight, so we're going to have to wait even longer. But Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. All right. We are in the last match of the entire night. We got CM Punk versus Hangman Page for the AEW World Championship. What are my thoughts on this match? This was a great match. I absolutely loved the match. It was a great match. The crowd was absolutely mixed between the two. And I will say this, you had Hangman getting, there was half the crowd loved Hangman, half the crowd loved Punk, half the crowd absolutely hated Punk, and half the crowd absolutely loved Hangman. And, overall, man, it was a weird atmosphere, but again, when Punk won the title, he definitely got a huge pop from the crowd. And I definitely do feel like Hangman did get more of those boos, in my opinion. But overall, I mean, the atmosphere, the crowd, everybody was hyped about this match. And I feel like the match definitely delivered for what it was. But we get a bunch of CM Punk chants. Both face off head to head. Punk pushes Hangman. Both lock up. We get a bunch of "Let's go Hangman" CM Punk chants. Punk goes for a chop. We get a chop by Hangman. Both then exchange chops. We get a side headlock by Punk. We get a forearm by Punk into the corner. Both lock up again. We get a side headlock by Punk, and then he goes for a shoulder tackle. Hangman then no-sells and hits a forearm. And then we get a couple of chop exchanges by both. Punk then goes for the back elbow, and then he takes down Hangman. We get a cover and a kick out. Then we get a back elbow by Hangman into the corner. We get repeated rights by Hangman, but then we get a chop by Hangman again. Then Punk fires back with a chop of his own. So after he fires back with a chop of his own, we get a hammer throw on Hangman by Punk. We get a body shot by Punk, but then Punk goes for the Russian leg sweep. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a slam, and then Punk goes for 3 slams on Hangman Page. Then Punk goes to the top, and then Punk goes for the crossbody. He gets caught by Hangman, and Hangman proceeds to hit the fall-away slam. Punk is on the apron, but then Hangman hits a lariat. Punk is on the outside, but then Hangman hits a crossbody over the top rope onto the outside. Then we get Let's Go Hangman CM Punk chants once again from the crowd. Then after that, Hangman then sends Punk to the guardrail. Hangman then takes Punk in the ring. We get a couple of right-hand exchanges. We get a rolling elbow by Hangman taking out Punk. And then we get a chop by Hangman into the corner. We get a hammer throw, by Hangman on Punk into the corner. We get a couple of fuck you Hangman cowboy shit chants. So Hangman is really getting that mixed reception from the audience once again. Punk then reverses, Hangman into the corner. Hangman then fires back with a clothesline. Hangman at this point is on the apron. Punk then runs into a right by Hangman, but then Hangman catches Punk and hits a powerbomb onto the apron, which looked absolutely freaking painful. Then Hangman goes to the top. Punk then goes into the ring. Hangman then hits a flying lariat inside the ring. Then after that, we get a cover by Hangman and a near fall. Hangman then sends Punk to the outside, but then Hangman goes to the top. Punk then comes back, but then Punk wants to go for the superplex, and actually succeeds. Punk fires a right, and then both exchange elbows. Then he proceeds to hit the leg lariat on Hangman Page. Then after that, we get a rising knee by Punk. He hits the running bulldog. Punk then goes for the springboard lariat, and at this point, once again, we get that split reaction from the crowd. He wants to apply the sharpshooter, but then Hangman fights back. Then he picks up Hangman. Hangman escapes. He goes for the swinging neckbreaker after that. We get a cover into near fall. At this point, we get a couple of CM Punk chants. He goes to the top, but then Hangman delivers a right, taking Punk to the outside. Hangman then goes to the top, and then he hits a moonsault. Hangman then sends Punk into the ring, but then Hangman is on the apron. Punk then counters with the buckshot lariat, and then he applies the sharpshooter. Hangman then goes to the bottom rope. We get a bunch of cowboy shit chants. Punk then goes to the apron, and he tries to hit the buckshot, but then Hangman picks up Punk for the GTS attempt, but Punk escapes. So if you guys can see, a lot of these guys, both Hangman and Punk were trying to do each other's moves. Punk even stated after he won the championship, like, yeah, bro, I can't even do a friggin' buckshot lariat. But Punk escapes. We get a kick by Punk over the top rope. Punk then hits a buckshot when Punk collapses. We get a cover and a near fall. Punk then picks up Hangman, but then Hangman escapes. Hangman then counters the rising knee and then hits the powerbomb. Then Punk rolls over. Hangman then counters and hits the Deadeye. Yes, out of nowhere, he hits the freaking Deadeye. We get a cover and a near fall. Hangman then wants to go for the GTS, but then he picks up Punk, but Punk escapes and hits the roundhouse kick. Hangman then picks up Punk again and hits the GTS, and we get another cover and a close-ass near fall. So, like, many close-ass near falls. We get a bunch of CM Punk chants. Hangman and Punk exchange shots. We get a kick by Punk onto the knee of Hangman. Hangman then goes for a boot. Punk then hits a boot. Hangman then clotheslines Punk onto the outside. Then Hangman sends Punk into the timekeeper's area. At this point, Hangman is on the apron. Punk then counters the buckshot attempts. But then Hangman, what happens? Hangman knocks the referee by accident. So Hangman hits a lariat. So after he hits the lariat, what happens? Hangman sees the belt. He sees the belt laying on the ring apron. He sees the belt, and he actually takes the belt. So what happens? He is contemplating whether he should do it or not do it. So this was definitely one of my by far my favorite moment in the entire match. So Hangman, he's contemplating, should I hit Hangman with it? And if I do, I'm going to turn heel. Who knows what's going to happen? So at this point, Hangman sees the belt. But then what happens? As soon as he's about to hit Punk with it, Hangman drops it. He goes to the apron. So what happens? He goes to the apron. He tries to go for the buckshot lariat, but then Punk counters. He picks him up for the GTS. 1, 2, 3. After 7 years, CM Punk is a world champion in professional wrestling. CM Punk is your new AEW World Champion. Overall thoughts on this match, man. Really good match. Again, mixed reaction from the crowd, but overall, this was a really, really good match. A lot of people expected, after Hangman was contemplating on possibly, hitting Punk with the belt, a lot of people were actually contemplating, and I heard this, that, maybe, Punk could have, hit a low blow after that, and he would have been the one to turn heel. But who knows? I think right now it's a little too early for Punk to turn heel, but we're going to have to wait and see in the near future. But overall, man, this was a great match, and I think it was definitely the right decision for CM Punk to win the AEW World Championship. Now, regarding the whole MJF situation, we do not know if MJF is going to still be in AEW. I hope to God that he talks to Tony Khan and actually, hopefully he actually talks with him to stay with AEW for the duration of his contract, because I still see MJF winning the World Championship from CM Punk. That's the reason why he has the title. I do not want to see MJF walk off like that, man. I really don't, but we're going to have to wait and see, man. Maybe Punk turns heel. Maybe there's a plan B. We're going to have to wait and see. But overall, CM Punk is your new AEW World Champion. And overall, man, what are my thoughts on the show? I thought it was a good show overall. Was it better than Revolution? Absolutely not. It was not better than Revolution whatsoever. Revolution was perfect from top to bottom in my eyes. Almost every match freaking mattered on that show. And watch my Revolution review to see what I'm talking about. But, this show went way too long. And also, this show just, there were some matches that really did not need to be on the show. But I totally understand why Tony Khan booked, a lot of matches for the card, considering the fact that, you had an NBA game happening at the same time. And a lot of people were definitely focused on that as well. But again, I mean, this show, for the fans' perspective, it definitely, killed a lot of time for the fans, man. And, it was a long ass show. And as you can see, this review lasted for 1 hour and 12 minutes. That's how long this, I reviewed this show. That goes to show how long this show really was. And we had 13 matches on the card. But overall, the show was a pretty good show. And I will say this, though. The crowd was, in some aspects, was kind of dead in some matches. But whenever they popped, they popped. But yeah, man. That was my AEW Double or Nothing 2022 review. Overall thoughts on the show. I thought it was a good show overall. Not the best show, but it was a pretty good show overall, and I absolutely enjoyed what I watched. So yeah, that was my Double or Nothing review. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast. And as always, it is Broken Havoc signing out.